The transfer activity for Nottingham Forest is set to heat up this week as Marinakis says it is time to bring players in. But who are these players going to be? Let's let you know now. Welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are. Whatever time of day you're watching this, hope you're having a fantastic day. And welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. In today's video, we'll let you know about the two Argentinians that are set to be linked with Nottingham Forest, or should I say are linked with Nottingham Forest. We got the latest on a couple of players rejecting Forest and Forest going back in for the Beast. On top of that, there are plenty of other stories, plenty of other players seemingly rejecting Nottingham Forest. What is the culture going on there? And are Forest going to be able to get any of these players over the line? If you're liking the video so far, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And coming up tonight, we've got a grumpy old red stream for you where we will be looking at Cooper Ball and how Forest beats Sheffield United on Friday. But was it good enough? And a quick reminder, if you want either of these two beautiful items that I've got displayed here in my background, you can grab this beautiful Nottingham Forest light from Etsy. It starts from only about 30 quid and using code FFTV will give you 25% discount. That's FFTV25. Go and check the link out. It's in the description below. And this beautiful framed Forest shirt, you can get that from our friends at Football Prizes. So make sure you go check that out and use code FFTV for 10% off. All right, let's jump into the news and let's start with the Argentinian boys. So, Nottingham Forest have been linked with a couple more Argentinian players, and the first I'm going to talk to you about is the Bologna central midfielder Nicolás Domínguez. It's someone we brought to you a few days ago, but the links are now getting stronger. In fact, some sources are saying that this deal is really, really close. He's worth about 17 million euros, which is what, 15 million pounds, something like that. And is a good, solid, CDM-ish CM player. And it's something that we do need. But I'm just not getting ahead of anything right now because we've seen Fofana, who I got excited about the other day. The reports are coming out that although Monaco accepted Nottingham Forest bid, he's rejected the move to the City ground. And it's making me wonder what is going on. Are players really that unattracted by Nottingham Forest? What is it that's stopping them? Is it we're not offering them enough wages? Is it we're not offering them a good vision in terms of the project? Or is it they're just holding out for other clubs in this transfer window? And there seems to be a lot of that going on. Now, I don't want to go into him too much because obviously we've already covered him. But the sources and the rumor mills are getting stronger on him. And this is a player that we may see come over the line quite quickly if it's going to happen. And I'm skeptical right now about all transfers. The only reason that I believe a lot of these transfers currently is Marinakis coming out and saying basically this transfer window is not finished for Nottingham Forest and there's still a lot of business for us to do. And that he still expects plenty of players to come in. And I think it's getting to the stage now where, because we've seen George Sirianos come back in, Marinakis clearly wants to bolster this squad. So let's watch this space. But the transfer window only has, 11 days left in it? Forest are going to have to get busy and get busy quick before we get into those final hours where panic may start to set in. So, Dominguez, do I see this happening? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm at the I don't know stage. I'm agnostic to all signings right now. I could see it happening, but it would be a clearer indication that Fofana has definitely rejected Nottingham Forest. But Forest are looking at 2 or 3 CDMs/CMs in general right now, and we'll bring you an update on another one in a second. But if you rate Dominguez, let me know down in the comments below. And let's move on and talk about the second Argentinian that's linked. And this one does confuse me a little bit. And that, of course, is the right back Gonzalo Montiel, who scored the winning World Cup penalty for Argentina in the World Cup in Qatar. but makes no sense to me about bringing in another right back. And this guy is a right back. He's not a right wing back by trait. It's mainly a right back. And I don't get this one. I hope this is more rumors than truths, but there are quite a lot of people talking about it currently. And does it mean Sergio is going to Saudi? Because we know there's been links about that happening. Is it he's not been good enough? I thought he played well against Sheffield United, but a lot of you said defensively he was very suspect. I don't know. Look, Montiel, he's 26 years old. Let me see what was his games. He scored the winning World Cup penalty, as we mentioned, 43 appearances and 1 goal. Obviously plays for Sevilla. And you're looking at a transfer fee in and around 12 million for him. And we don't need another right back. We do need a left back, maybe. But the right back position, I feel, we're already well kind of covered off there. Yes, the quality may not be what you want it to be, etc. And is this Marinakis looking at it and thinking we need a bit of a quality step up? But for me, I'm not for this one. Not because I don't think he's good. I think he's okay. I just think the priorities for us right now need to lie with a CDM, maybe a left back and a backup striker. And I would probably chuck, and I'm starting to raise this one higher up the list, is a centre back. I thought between Worrell and McKenna against Sheffield United, they looked very dodgy at the best of times there. And without Niakate and Felipe, there's just a lacking in pure Premier League quality for me. Nothing against Worrell, it's nothing against McKenna. Every player has their ceiling and has, the limits to their ability. But I just do feel if Forest wants to progress forward further, if we want to see more 4-back football rather than 5-back football, we are going to need to get a ball-playing centre-back who's got a bit of pace and a bit of strength about them. Almost another Niakate for me, really, in that sense. But anyway, back to Montiel. He's linked to Nottingham Forest. Doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so let's move on to a player that does make sense to me, and that's Florentino Luis from Benfica. Now, again, it's another player that we brought you last week who was linked to Forest, and I really do like this guy, an absolute brick house. There's been a lot of CDMs linked to Nottingham Forest that are really gauging my interest. But there's a couple of things that we have to discuss about this one, and that's his price tag. Forest have apparently put a bid in for him for about 30 to 35 million euros, which got rejected. And now the talk is we're going to go back in and around 40 million euros. Well, firstly, where are we getting that money from? It has to be Brennan Johnson money, if that's the case. There's no way Forest can bid that much for him without potentially breaking FFP. And maybe, as I mentioned in the previous video, that Forest is spending the money before they sell off Brennan Johnson because that deal must be done kind of behind closed doors currently. And then it asks and raises a few more questions. If Forest are going to bid this 40 million euros for him, then Fofana is definitely not interested in Nottingham Forest. On top of that, let's not forget my number one target, who is Sangare. He clearly isn't interested in Nottingham Forest either, or Forest are not willing to pay the amount of money for him. Remember, he has a clause in his contract at 37 million euros. So at this stage, he would be cheaper than Luis. So it doesn't, again, completely make logical sense unless you assume that both Fofana and Sangare have flat out rejected wanting to move to Nottingham Forest. And all of this doesn't make that much sense either. Why do I say that? Because what you see in transfers more times than not now is that clubs will speak to the player's agent and get a feel, a temperature of the water to whether or not they're interested in joining that club before everyone's time gets wasted. And you end up doing a bid and then rejected, get the other bid in, get it rejected, eventually come to an agreement to then only find that the player doesn't want to leave or go to your club in the first place. So I'm hoping that with this Florentino one, that it is actually something that they have done and spoken to the player, checked out that he is interested. I'm sure they've spoken to Sangare. We know that they spoke in Greece as a few weeks back. What happened off the back of those talks? We don't know. But it is getting a little worrying that there seems to be a pattern this window of either Forest are putting in some silly bids for some players, very unrealistic in terms of their valuation, or that a lot of players are tending to reject us. And that brings us on to Nuno Tavarez, who himself has rejected Nottingham Forest, and he is moving on and potentially looking at the likes of Aston Villa. And there is still talks that Forest want to pay 30 million for him. And that to me just blows my mind. It really does. But Villa, go get him, man. You are welcome to him. But it's about the principle here, whether or not you're for him or against him. Clearly, Forest were interested in him. So why, again, can we not attract an absolute Arsenal flop to come for Forest? And why are Forest even contemplating 30 million for a player that in my mind is worth 10 to 15 at best? But get your thoughts in, all of that down below. All right, let's move on to some semi-good news. I say semi because I really do like this player. Menso from Botafogo is still interested in Nottingham Forest. However, there is a twist. He wants to do a bit of a Danilo/Scarpa and join Nottingham Forest if he is going to join in the January transfer window, because he is looking to complete the season with Botafogo and make sure they can achieve the best that they can. And I really rate this player. It felt like a few weeks ago that Forest were completely out of the running for him. I am still not liking that he wants to wait till January. It's kind of for me like, bro, come play in the Premier League. Yeah, you'll get more exposure. We need you. You're really good. But he is still interested from the reports that are coming through today. So overall, good news. But it could end up being a Danilo Scarpinia kind of deal that we'll see happening in the second transfer window in January. But I am very excited about this player, and hopefully he can get over the line for Nottingham Forest. But what I will say is there's too many this player, that player, this guy's interested, this one's not going on at the moment. And I'm not going to get excited about any of the players we've mentioned so far in the news today until I see them holding the red shirts up. That for me is the stage it's got to at this transfer window. Am I getting worried? Yes, but there is still time to get deals done. But these are players that Forest really should have got in at the start of the window so that we had a settled squad going into the Arsenal match, going into the Sheffield United match, etc. Once we get these players in, they're probably still going to need a week or two to settle in and get used to the culture, get used to the play style, etc. But at least players are still being linked. And that for me is a positive in itself. We're going to go through everything tonight on Grumpy Old Reds. It's either going to be 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. I've got to speak to the boys, speak to their agents, double check that, they're still available and what have you. So look out for that tonight about 7 or 8 p.m. Until then, guys, if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV. That brings you up to date with all the transfer news going in and around Nottingham right now. We'll see you tonight on Grumpy Old Reds. And as always, come on, you Reds.